I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have back with us Markus Levin, co-founder of XYO, here to talk about DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, the XYO Layer One network, the XL1 token launch, everything with DPIN, which is a huge growing market that we're going to dive into today, and why you need to know about it and get involved. Markus, thanks so much for taking the time, and welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me again, Ashton. Every single time I'm here, I'm glad to be with your community.
Likewise, you're an OG in DPIN ecosystem. Before it was even called DPIN, and it's only been in the last 2 years, maybe even this year, where it's really started to take off with the advance in AI and robotics and Internet of Things and everything being hooked up to the internet and, more importantly, decentralized networks. I feel like DPIN is just exploding, and you guys have been around since the beginning, and now it's really starting to take off. I'd love to start off with those who haven't seen our previous interviews and just to get a refresher on sort of a high level on what XYO has built and how that involves DPIN.
Yeah, as you said, like, DePIN is hot, but it was a thing already a few years ago. We launched in 2018, which is more than 7 years ago, and we built the first DePIN network. It sounds ridiculous for a lot of crypto people, but actually there are projects which are in business for such a long time, and the difference there is a business model. It's DPINs are usually built on real revenue, and then that revenue flows back into the token, and there's a circular economy there, which makes DPIN unique, but also quite sustainable. Versus a lot of other projects, they live off the token reserves. Then the token price goes down, and then the project unfortunately disappears. And so we launched our project into a bear market in 2018. And we said, we're definitely not going to make the same mistake. We have to build something which is real and which is going to be around for the decades or centuries even. And so we built the XYO Network, which is in the beginning was a network which gave you proof of location for something like your e-commerce package, or it allowed you to say that Ashton is the person in front of the ATM, give him money, and things like that. And we use IoT devices to do that. And today we still do proof of location for other connected devices and other use cases, as well as we collect and validate and verify other data, and then connect it with smart contracts in Web3, and also sell it to Web2 companies.
Yeah, I feel like it's so important to emphasize, real business models, real revenue, and then how the circular economy and how that funnels back into the decentralized network, and how people that join these networks are able to contribute and earn and be a part of that cycle as well. There's been a huge issue with crypto-based projects where they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, and they don't really have a real revenue model besides the fact that there's a token that could go up and down. But I feel like that's now shifted in the fundamental projects that actually have great revenue models, and circular ecosystems are starting to flourish. And I feel like there's so many different use cases that can involve DPIN networks, and sometimes it's hard for people to grasp. But from what I understand in our last conversation about like the Coin app, for example, where people, how can I get involved in a DPIN network? If you just have your phone as an edge device that can connect to the network, you can do things, whether it's location-based or contributing through different apps or dApps, where you're actually able to earn. Can you talk a little bit about that, the use cases, and sort of like really understanding for people who don't need to understand how decentralized networks really function on the back end, how they can contribute from their end?
Yeah. We had to learn that ourselves first, before we were able to make that available to our community and nodes. In the beginning, we had a crypto market which was only for crypto people, like you and me. So you need to buy some IoT devices, you needed to download wallets and connect everything, and have a setup and installing process, and it was quite complex to become a part of our network. And we realized it's really difficult for anyone to join, but also it doesn't make sense. If you want to have a large addressable market, you need to go beyond the crypto community and talk about what solution we provide, and not just like, oh, we're a crypto project. And so the solution we provide is this data collection and validation and verification. And the way we can collect it then was IoT devices. So we realized the phone is also an IoT device. Right? It's actually a super powered IoT device. It's a lot of sensors and a lot of other things. And so we created a mobile app called Coin. And you can today just download the Coin app and sign up and for free and become part of our XYO node network. And inside the app, now you earn points. And these points you can exchange for XYO, for example, but also for Bitcoin or Ethereum, but also and PlayStations and sweepstakes entries and whatever. And you don't need the wallet anymore. You can also redeem your XYO for right to your Coinbase email address. And so now we have these groups of people in the app, which are truckers and Uber drivers and people who move around a lot, retirees which want to earn more money on the side, and it's all these groups, and we make it very, very, very easy. You're onboarded to our ecosystem. About 80% of the people who come are non-crypto users, but 95% of them choose to redeem their points for XYO, so they become crypto community members as a part of our ecosystem. And that's, I think, where the transformation really happens, is if you are able to provide a solution which is almost infinitely scalable but while at the same time being crypto and blockchain powered.
Yeah, no, it's actually amazing. I feel like DPIN and decentralized physical networks are going to bring people that, they're not finance people, they're not money people, but in the same way that AI really clicked for non-technical people, for LLMs, a lot of people are starting to use them. Crypto's very niche and fringe in relation to that. And I feel like there's so many people, especially that are just, whether they're gaming on their phone or they're finding other ways to interact, like, as you said, like people that drive around a lot, or truckers, or people that are traveling, that it's not even gaming, but they're actually earning while they're connected to the network on their phone by just sending a little bit of information into the decentralized networks. There's millions of people that are obsessed with games on their phone, location-based games. They could be playing something else where they're actually earning money, and it would be so much more worth their time.
You're right. I think our community really realized that. They use the app more than 3 hours a day in the foreground. That's more than all social media apps get combined. So while we have a 4.5 star rating in both stores, obviously it's lucrative and fun, and we gamify the experience, and you have these communities built around it, and yeah, it's you can game and earn some, and in the future it's going to be even more gamified. So we have some actually great plans there.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I'm going to leave a link to the Coin app as well in the show notes, because it's worth checking out. The gamification is fun, but earning is even more fun once you realize there's appreciation to it as well. And with the XYO network, from what I understand so far, there's already over 10 million nodes and devices that are connected to the network. Can you talk a little bit about that milestone? Because that seems huge.
Yeah. We would have not been able to do it with IoT devices. We tried to have a proof of concept with T-Mobile and SK Telecom, it's a South Korean telco, and we were working on the proof of concept on expanding our IoT network. And it was just a drag, to work with giant older corporations, when you're a young crypto company. And the Coin app really supercharged that growth. And once we realized where we can have nodes, we pushed it on with marketing and education campaigns. We ran some events, and now we have people, I think, in probably every country in the world participating in the coiner. And in some countries, it's more lucrative than in others, and it's just based on the demand for that data and other tasks you can do inside the coiner.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's really just the beginning. And that is a huge number, but this could, some of these games like Pokemon Go and such, they have 10 times, 50 times more. You could be looking at half a billion users. And that's like the secret gateway for them to get involved in crypto and blockchain assets as well. So I do love DePIN networks for that, because they don't know until they realize that they're earning, but it's also in digital assets, and it gets them in the door.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're actually working on something with a game company where we bring their game to the real world. So where it's like a treasure hunt, and you have to discover some stuff, and then you earn NFTs and you get leaderboard rankings, and then you see that your actual game, and then but it's overlaid over the coin app and in that experience. So it's going to be like way more gamified at some point, and I think then the user numbers are really going to continue to grow.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the success so far. But I want to talk about the big news now, Markus, because obviously 10 million is a great foundation to have, but it also requires a lot of infrastructure to power that, especially when you're looking at moving into hundreds of millions. And I know that the team has been working on the XYO Layer One network to support all of this and add in more functionality and much more that has just launched as well. Can you talk about the Layer One network, what that means, how it's going to support, and everything moving forward?
Yeah, it's the most exciting thing for me since 2018. Since a lot of XYO. It's like we are a data company in the crypto space, right? And so we touched data for the last 7.5 years. And right now we collect and validate and verify data, right? And basically connect it with other blockchains, but there was no place of truth. And we always try to avoid building a layer one, layer two, and we're waiting for someone else to build it, but nobody built it. And now we built a data-focused layer one, which is for not only data storage and data certainty, but also for makes data transactions extremely performant. So it doesn't have the regular blockchain bloat and so on, and it allows you to do data analytics and has certainty around data and so on. And it's for data-heavy projects in industries in like AI, gaming, DPIN, tokenized reward assets, and so on. And we are bringing our XYO network onto that layer one, and will also then after that bring on third parties.
So on the infrastructure side, does it make it faster or just capable of holding more applications? And you mentioned their source of truth for the information.
Yeah, all of the above. So it makes it much faster. We have about 12 innovations in there. I urge you to read our white paper, or if you're not interested in white paper, maybe it's a good book on XYO Network, and you see how we're going to do it. But for example, we avoid blockchain bloat, where if you look at Ethereum or Solana, right, you have these giant nodes and they grow with every transactions, and so you need a giant machine to be able to run them. Our nodes are limited in size, and you can run them on very light machines, and you can become a part of our network. And that makes our network much more performant. And then the proof of the data. So we have something called proof of origin, where we can prove where data point was generated, where it was saved, for example, and then where it ended up in a smart contract. And so we can prove that certain data comes from a sensor, for example, and then it ends in the layer one. And you can then, for example, tokenize that data and sell that data point to someone else. And you can do the same thing with a temperature sensor. You can tokenize the sensor itself, and then have a tokenized reward asset there, for example, and sell the sensor or the revenue you generate with that sensor. And but it's also So it's for DPINs and RWAs, but on the AI side, for example, it allows you to say, for example, the AI has where does a certain data set come from? Let's say AI hallucinates. It can prove the data through XYO Layer One, where it says, okay, and actually proves the data comes from somewhere, right? Or let's say if a certain data point is missing, or the AI gets feedback that it hallucinates, the XYO DePIN network then can be used to collect that data for the AI.
Yeah, no, I find it really important because I feel like a lot of people they look at it and they say, well, why not use Ethereum blockchain or Bitcoin or Solana? Because I heard Solana is cheaper. But for one thing, to have devices connected as nodes, the blockchains are just too big, even to have light clients. And then the kind of information that you're sending, whether you're just pinging, small trickles of information constantly of location data, I feel like not only is the blockchain, it's going to be expensive overall and slow and clash with all the other transactions that are going on. It should significantly improve the speed and lower the cost to have like a dedicated layer one just for DPINs.
Yes, you're right. For DPIN and data in general, yes, because as you said, right, the other chains they're made basically for transactions and moving tokens around and have transaction finality for that. Ours is specifically made for data and for moving data around. And data is just so important, and it's going to become more important, right? If you look at the AI craze, everything there is powered by data, and it's just going to be more need.
Definitely. And with AI continuing to grow and get more intertwined into blockchain as well, is there more AI advancements that come alongside the XYO layer one, or is there a play down the road as I can imagine edge devices or other IoT devices will just be owned by AI, not even people?
Yeah. You can run your edge devices, for example, on the XYO layer one, and can run the AI on that edge device. If you have a small LLM, you can run it right on the edge device for privacy-centric things, for example, so that the data doesn't need to be saved anywhere. We also use zero-knowledge proofs and so on, which makes lets your AI understand what's going on around you, but it doesn't connect it with an identity.
Definitely. And with the people, for example, that they're on the Coin app or they're on a DApp on the DPIN, does it change is there any other technical barriers that change now that it's a layer one? Does it make it harder or easier, or do they have to do any other interaction with the blockchain, or is just that all on the back end?
It's all in the backend. So the DPIN network runs as the DPIN network runs, and then that data gets connected with the layer one. So there's a pipeline between the XYO DPIN network and the XYO layer one blockchain. But for the CoinApp users, not much changes, except that the token economics are going to change a little bit, because with the layer one, we're launching a new token called XL1. This XL1 token is internal to the layer one only. So it's for transactions and gas and dApps and anything that runs inside the layer one. And the XYO token stays external, is still for the DPIN rewards and that contributor ecosystem for staking, governance, security, and so on. And to be able to earn the XL1 token, you need to stake your XYO into the XYO layer one network, and that will earn your XL1 token, and you secure and contribute to the layer one. And so we are excited about that dynamic. And then the layer one as an XL1 token, as it gets used on the network, with every transaction, a portion of the XL1 gets burned, which reduces the supply over time as well. So in all, it's very positive, I think, for token holders, because we think a large portion of the XYO tokens will be locked up in the layer one to be able to earn XL1, and then on the XL1 side, some of those tokens will be burned, as the network transacts.
Very interesting, and yeah, that I feel like that was very beneficial for Ethereum as well. When they moved to proof of stake, everyone started staking it and locking up the ETH and sort of brings it out of circulation in a sense. And then, now that treasury companies are buying it up, it's like there's not much to go around because everyone's using it to contribute to the network.
Right.
With the XYO Layer One launch and then now a dual token model, do you think that there's major benefits? Is it a necessity that because what about just using the XYO and then having that work with both and having it to run the nodes and everything? What are the main benefits to having like a dual token model?
One of them is they support each other. Like the XYO gets locked up and you earn XL1 and they're like the yin and the yang of the system, basically. But then also the XYO token started as an ERC20 token. And so it's not native to the XYO layer one. And we wanted to have a token there which is super hyper performant and it can work natively inside the layer one at a very low cost. And for that, we needed to create a new token. However, the XL1 token is also going to be multi-chain. It's going to be bridged to ERC20 and so on. So you can use it in DeFi ecosystems like Uniswap and others as well.
I was going to ask about that because when you create a layer one that may or may not be compatible with, Ethereum tokens and then there's all this bridging going on, creating more potential, security issues. How important was the compatibility issue when launching a layer one that may or may not be, on the Ethereum standard to tie into DeFi and other financial networks that already have a huge network effect?
I think it's very important. As crypto and blockchain runs on incentives, right? You incentivize people to do something, right? And then they go and run nodes, for example, right? Be it on Ethereum or DePIN network or anything else. And so to be able to have the new XL1 token broadly accessible is just very important, I think, for that.
So now with the layer one launched, the token launched, what's the main thing that people can do to sort of get involved early on? I know there's already the coin app, but is there any other new ways they can contribute to the new layer one or get involved?
Yeah, it's super easy to stake your XYO. Just go to XYO Network and click on the staking there. And we try to make it as easy as using the coin app to stake your XYO so you can earn some XL1. And the emissions in the beginning of the network are higher than later in the life of the network. So it's more lucrative to be a part of it today. And so I think that's number one. And then number two, you might want to be build on the layer one or check out our developer documentation and so on. You can check that out on the website as well. Or maybe you're interested to buy some tokens to play around there. And they are available on a number of exchanges. Just go to like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko and search for XL1 and you will see all of the exchanges it's listed on.
Definitely. No, that's exciting. And yeah, making staking as easy as possible is nice. And I've seen with other projects and other DePIN projects that usually the emissions, it's sort of based on like a supply and demand. If you're the first one there, then normally the percentage is higher and eventually it drops down. But there's a window of opportunity for those early bird people that are like, you get rewarded for being an early contributor to the network,
Right. And in our case, the advantage is you have a more than 7 years history, like in some DePIN networks, you put all this effort in, or other networks, you put all this effort in, but you don't really know if the project is around 3 months later. And in our case, I can't promise you that we're going to be around in 3 months, but we're around for more than 7 years, so I think that's a pretty good chance.
Chances are very high. And moving forward into the long-term vision, I'm sure I want to see some good success on the layer one, in Q4 here, 2025, in the first quarter that it's live. Moving into 2026, we're only seeing further adoption of digital assets, moving from Bitcoin and Ethereum now into the next, top 25 layer ones. And, I know they have a keen eye on layer ones. So it's nice that you guys just launched one as well. How will you continue to strive for more adoption? The staking is obviously a great incentive. The coin app. Are there other things up the sleeve in getting more new people, especially outside of crypto, involved into DePIN?
Yeah, we're actually working on some huge partnerships from companies and projects all around the globe. And some of them have a large market share in the niche, and they are interested to work on the layer one. And so we're going to onboard some of those towards the end of 25 or the beginning of 2026. And I think it's going to add a lot of visibility, not only to our layer one, but to blockchain as a whole. When you see the combination of Web 2 and low tech brands with blockchain, and especially our XYO Layer One.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, there's just huge brands getting involved. And there's so many different use cases for DePIN networks and for edge devices to contribute information, data, whether it's location, sound, other ways into networks with the hundreds of millions of devices that are still not connected into the blockchain. I'm excited to see them get involved, and congratulations on the launch of the layer one, and for continued adoption. Let's get to 20 million, 50 million nodes of people, and especially ones that aren't really involved in crypto and finance yet, get involved and have that backdoor sneak them in and realize, oh, digital assets are the future, and contributing to networks and actually earning in real money, not just playing games or doing Google reviews for points that really mean nothing. I actually want to earn for my contributions, and that's where decentralized networks are so powerful.
You're right. I don't know if I mentioned it on the last show we had. I was in Australia and I was at a panel there, and after the panel, someone hugged me as I came down the stage, and he said in the first row, and he wanted to thank me. He was a retired truck driver who was able to retire because of what he did with Coin, our app, since I think 2020 or 2021. And he cashed out at the right time, and he's still part of the ecosystem, is still earning. He was able to put $400,000 into a friend's business. And
wow.
It's like, these stories are just mind-blowing, right? It's yes, maybe at day zero when you earn the tokens, maybe don't have the value you want them to have, but as soon as you have assets, and you're not just a worker bee, but you have some assets, then you have a chance to participate in their growth. And I think that's the exciting part of crypto. Of course it can go down as well, or lose their value entirely, right? That's a risk of owning assets. But at least you have a chance of making something amazing happen, as this retired truck driver did.
Definitely, and that's why I got involved in digital assets, because the chances are better long term than a slot machine. That the house is against you there, and of course investing in anything, it's like there's ups and downs, but that's a significant number. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe it's an anomaly. It doesn't look like much at first, but contributing early, like what you're saying about the layer one is launching, you can stake XYO that you already have, and you're earning higher emissions, earning the token. If this 10 million nodes can turn into, if you guys can make it turn into 100 million, that would be huge exponential growth, especially as more AI devices are getting in here, and everything. Soon our car will have its own wallet, and everything else in the house will have a wallet, paying each other, and contributing to DePIN networks. So it sounds really promising. I'm definitely gonna look into it again myself, and I'm going to leave the link to the Coin app as well. The more information, you mentioned the Git book or the white paper, we can put those links in the show notes below. More info for the XYO Layer One network overall, and the socials for XYO, everything in the show notes below. And congratulations on the launch of the Layer One network. This is just the beginning, part two after the 7-year history, now going into part that really matters more is hundreds of millions getting adopted into digital assets, and you guys have done well so far. And I'm excited for where DPIN is going to go, and I'm hoping you guys can make a big impact in getting more people involved in digital assets. So thank you so much for taking the time, Markus.
Thank you, Ashton. It was great, as always.